Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name's Alex and you are watching BC Adventure. Well, I'm back from vacation after injuring myself on the first day in Harrison Hot Springs and not being able to enjoy the water slides like I'd hoped. But nonetheless, I'm back, I'm recovering, and my knee is starting to finally feel a little better after 5 days of just excruciating pain. If you're wondering what we did, we headed over to the mainland because I live on Vancouver Island. We headed over to Harrison Hot Springs, Cultus Lake, Abbotsford, BC to hang out at my buddy's farm. And then we spent the entire Tuesday shopping at Tawasin Mills in Tawasin, British Columbia. So yeah, out in Harrison, we walked down to the source of the hot springs and got some ice cream, hung out on the beach for a while. And then on Monday, we went to the Cultus Lake water slides first thing in the morning until about 5 p.m. And then we headed over to the Cultus Lake theme park or adventure park. And then after that, we smoked some steaks out at my buddy's farm. And the next day, we checked out of our hotel and headed over to Tawasin Mills to do some back to school shopping and just get some good deals because we don't have outlet stores like they do on the mainland. So it was an eventful trip. I'm on the mend and getting back to putting some videos out. So today we're going to be looking at deploying a Windows 11 virtual machine on Unraid, and I'm going to be activating it using a KMS server. The KMS server I'm running on my Unraid machine. That's not something I'm going to walk you through because you need licenses in order to use a KMS. So that's completely separate in a sense, but I'm going to be showing you in case you do have a KMS server running on your Unraid server or another machine on your network, how to activate your Windows 11 instance through a KMS server. It's actually fairly simple. I didn't know it was that easy until about a year ago when I deployed my own. But you know, as someone who owns a networking business, I do deploy a lot of Windows licenses to a lot of customers. So using a KMS server was actually a no-brainer for me to streamline getting devices activated and sent out to clients. But with all that said, let's jump right into the tutorial.
Huh?
All right, so to get started, we're going to have to head on over to Google and search for Windows 11 installation media. And it'll bring you to the Microsoft link, which is right here. And if you click that, you can go ahead and begin downloading the Windows 11 ISO. You'll have to answer a couple questions, but no worries for that. It's really simple and easy to get downloaded. After that, you are going to need to download the VirtIO drivers if you haven't already. And you can go ahead and do that just by searching VirtIO drivers, and then you can use the Proxmox ones here. And then to download the drivers, you just scroll down and click download the latest stable. That's going to go ahead and download an ISO. And then from there, you're just going to drag and drop that into your ISO folders on your Unraid machine, and it should look something like this. Now, I've already downloaded the Windows 11 ISO as well as the latest VirtIO Windows drivers. As you can see, this was my old one from 2023 that I've been using, and we're now going to be using the one that I downloaded today. So to get started, we're going to head on over to our Unraid dashboard and we're going to open up the VMs tab. From there, we're going to click on Add Virtual Machine. I'm going to click Windows 11 here. And here we need to give it a name. So I'm going to name it Windows 11 Test VM. And here we need to select our CPU cores that we're going to pass through to the virtual machine. Now, I've got 40 CPU cores, so I've got a healthy amount that I can utilize. So I'm going to use 20 of them. And then for my RAM, because I've got 110 gigs of RAM and barely use any, I'm going to give it 32 gigs. Now, One thing I want to point out is that if you are using Windows 11, you are going to have to use the secure BIOS. So OVMF TPM is the one that you need. If you use just OVMF, it will not work. So here we need to select our installation ISO. So we're going to pick the Windows 11 ISO that we just downloaded. So select that guy. And then here we need to select our VirtIO drivers. So we're going to scroll down to our VirtIO and we're going to pick the latest version. Next, we need to set our hard drive size. Now, keep in mind that this is going to be on your cache drive if you've set up your virtual machines to use your cache drive by default, which I have done. The reason I did that is because it's a lot snappier and quicker than using an old mechanical drive that's on our array. So I'm going to set this at 128 gigs because I have a 1 terabyte NVMe cache drive. I'm comfortable giving it that amount of a hard drive space to use. And that is pretty much it. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you can pass through some PCI devices. So if you have a graphics card that your Unraid server is not utilizing, you can go ahead and pass that through so that you can use actual graphics cards on your virtual machine. This is one of the really great things about using Unraid for virtual machine hosting is that anything that's in your anything that's in your Unraid machine that you're not utilizing, you can actually pass through, and that includes USB devices. Now, I'm not going to be using any of the USB devices. I'm not going to be using a GPU pass-through because I have those devices being used by my Unraid server. So we're just going to leave that as is. Now, all we need to do after this is click Create. Now, one of the things I want to point out, because this has been brought up in the comments on my Windows 10 video, is that people are having issues getting to the actual installation of the Windows environment. Now, the reason being is that you only have about 4 to 5 seconds to hit any key from the VNC console or your remote viewing software, whichever you use to access your virtual machines. You got to be really quick with the tapping any key on your keyboard. But to even be able to hit any key on your keyboard, you're going to have to click on the actual screen that's asking for you to hit any key. Now, I'll show you here. I've set it, or it defaults to starting the virtual machine after creation. So we're going to click Create. And a pop-up window should open just like that. And here we need to click in the screen and then press any key. So if you don't do that successfully, it'll show you the CBIOS or the kernel that runs the virtual machine, and it'll say there's no installation media or no media present. So you got to be really quick with that. And as soon as you hit the any key, it'll pop into this Unraid screen and you know you're on the right path. So as soon as this starts loading up the Windows installation, because in my case, it seems to take a minute or two whenever I deploy a Windows machine. I don't have this issue with Linux. Any Linux virtual machines I deploy, it just seems to be Windows that likes to take a minute to pop open the actual installation process. So as soon as that pops up, we'll jump right back into it. So the classic Windows spinny wheels showed up, and now it's starting to load the installation media. So here we're going to leave the language and time just at the default there. And we're going to leave the keyboard input the same as well. And we're going to install Windows 11, and I agree everything will be deleted, including files, apps, and settings. Here, it's going to ask for a product key. Because I'm activating with a KMS, I'm not going to fill this out. I'm just going to click, I don't have a product key. Now, if you do that, you'll have 180 days to activate Windows 11. You can get licenses for a pretty good deal through certain vendors online. But if you do need a Windows 10 or 11 key, reach out. I do have plenty that I can sell. So if you're interested, just drop a comment down below or shoot me a message on the Discord server. So here I am going to select the Windows 11 Pro installation and click Next. Oh, don't have to scroll to the bottom. It's not Apple. Just going to click Accept. Now, this is where the VirtIO drivers come in handy. Because this is a virtual machine, Windows doesn't recognize that there is a software hard drive, essentially, that it needs to install to. So to do that, we're going to load drivers, and we have to browse. And then here we need to open up the VirtIO Windows CD drive, and we're going to scroll to the bottom, and we need to open up the VIOSTOR folder. We're going to select Windows 11, and we need to select AMD 64, and then press OK. Here it found the drivers that we need, so we're going to select it and then click Install. It's going to go ahead and get those drivers installed, and now we can see we have our 128 gig drive available. Now, before we move on, we're actually going to load our network drivers as well. For some reason, it brings up the license thing. Not sure why, but we can ignore that, click Accept, and we're just going to wait for this to pop up here, and we're going to install our network drivers. So we're going to go back into Browse. We're going to open up the folder again, and we need to open up the NetKVM folder. Again, Windows 11 and AMD 64, and OK. We're going to click the Red Hat VirtIO Ethernet adapter and click Install. And now we have our network drivers installed. So when Windows 11 is installing, it's going to go ahead and pull all the most recent updates. Going to click Next. And now we are ready to install. So we're just going to click Install. And it's going to go ahead and get the Windows 11 media installed on our virtual machine. And as soon as this is done, we will pop right back into the tutorial. Wilford Brimley wanted to come say hello. He's my little cutie with his thunder purrs. Now I'm going to be covered in cat hair. Now 40% complete. We're almost there. All right, we are at the setup process now. Well, the rest of it at least. And we're going to select United States, even though I'm in Canada. It's just easier. And we're going to use the US keyboard layout. And I don't want to add another layout. Choose to do so if you need, but in my case, I don't need another keyboard layout. And it's going to go ahead and actually update the installation before we actually get into the desktop environment. So it's going to go ahead, download all the latest updates and malicious software removal stuff. And after that, we should be able to create a user and get logged in. Now, just so you're all aware, the Windows 11 installation does not allow you to bypass the online setup unless there is no network card present. And from what I can tell, using the basic Unraid installation of a virtual machine, you cannot remove a network card from the installation. So in the case of using the Unraid virtual machines to deploy a Windows 11 VM, you're forced to create a online account, unfortunately. I have not been able to find a way to bypass it. I checked with ChatGPT and was not able to find any workaround for it. So in my case, I'm not able to, but if anyone else has a tip to actively bypass that, please let me know down in the comments, because I would love to know. Okay, so it's gone ahead and finished the update installation. So we're going to name this device BC Advent Test. Now, I just want to fully admit that this is my second time installing a Windows 11 instance. I have not actively worked with Windows 11. The only place I have is at my workplace, but I don't have a choice in what operating system I use. So yeah, we do use Windows 11 at work, but at home I use Windows 10 and I use Mac and I use Linux and I use Windows Server. So I'm not too familiar with Windows 11, but I do know how to deploy it on a virtual machine. So that's what we're doing here. We're just walking through the steps to get you started on a basic level. And then all you power users out there, I'm sure you know all this stuff already. And yeah, it'll give you the opportunity to, maybe school us a little bit down in the comments if you have any tips or tricks. So I'm going to set this up for personal use and click next. And here it looks like it's going to check for more updates. All right, so it looks like it's grabbing some more updates. So we're going to go ahead and let this finish. And as soon as this is done, we'll jump right back into it. All right, so next we need to get signed in, apparently, which I'm not a fan of. But let's see what sign in options has. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna have to sign in with a Microsoft account. If you don't have one, you can go ahead and create one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this signed in really quickly. All right, so we're getting signed in now. I forgot my password, so I I had to reset it, and it wasn't easy because I had to reinstall my Microsoft Authenticator app a little while ago, so I lost the sign-in authenticator code thing. But it's going to ask us to go ahead and create a pin. I'm just going to do 1111. Oh, not complex enough. And we're going to turn off all this nonsense. And it asks if we want to restore from a PC, which I do not. And we're going to set up as a new PC. Set up as a new PC. And it's getting things ready for us. So as soon as this finishes, we'll jump right back in. All right, so it's asking what we want to use this for. I'm just going to skip this and use your mobile device from your PC. Okay, I don't know what this is. So you scan the QR code with your Android device, get a text message, make calls and more, all from your PC. Skip this step if you have an iPhone. Well, fine then, I'll skip this step. All right, we're going to go ahead and skip that as well. I do not use the Microsoft Cloud, and I don't want it to sync my browsing data. Anything to farm our identifiers, you know? And let's see, next. And I'm going to skip this. I don't want to play games on a virtual machine. I have a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 3 for that. And Windows is now installed. However, it is not activated. So if we go to settings here, and we go to system, we'll see Windows isn't activated. So we're going to skip that. And I do not like the placement of the start menu now. I'm sure there are ways to change it, but probably not until we activate. Yeah. You need to activate Windows before you can personalize your PC. All right, so let's get Windows activated using my KMS server. All right, so to get Windows activated with a KMS server, you're going to need the appropriate KMS activation key, which is going to correlate with your KMS server. So in my case, I'm using the Windows 11 Pro activation key. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then I'm going to search down here for the command prompt. I'm going to go ahead and run this as administrator. Give that permission. And then from there, I'm going to copy in the command and press enter. Now, next, I need to, I'll get out of there. I need to point the Windows installation to my KMS server. All right, so as we see here that it is pointing to the KMS server. And now we actually need to go ahead and activate it. So just going to copy this, paste that in there. And now we're going to check if Windows is activated. All right. Well, for some reason, it did not like that command. But what we can do is we'll open up our browser here. And I'm going to open up my KMS UI. And we actually see here that, where are we here? It has gone ahead and grabbed a key, but what we do need to do here is restart the Windows 11 instance. So we do see here our client ID, we see the name of the machine, and it's Windows, and it's a Windows 10 11 professional installation. So I'm going to bring back the window here. And we're going to close. Oh, there we go. Product was activated successfully. Perfect. So we'll close out of that. Yeah. Okay. So everything was just popping up behind the window. So let's open up our settings. And we'll go to System. And where are we here? Activation. And we see Windows 11 Pro is activated. Now, if at any point in time you want to update your Windows version, you just go ahead and you click Change here for Change Product Key. Enter your new product key, and it'll go ahead and download any extra features that come with the new Windows that you've purchased or upgraded to. But that is pretty much it. Just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and restart the computer. And we're going to see if the activation here works, or at least shows up on this side. Now, I don't have any doubt that it won't have any issues. I haven't seen notify. I'm guessing that means that the pop-up window stated that it was activated, but we'll see once this goes ahead and, oh, that was quick. All right, go back to here. We'll give a refresh. And I don't know what that means, notify, but it did activate, as we saw on the Windows 11 activation screen. So with all that said and done, there is one more thing that you can do, and that is use the virtual machine wizard from Proxmox to get any additional drivers installed on the Windows machine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to open up Microsoft Edge here. And I don't want to do that. Confirm, continue without data. I'm going to uncheck that, confirm and start browsing. And so just going to go to Google, and I'm going to search for VirtIO drivers. And we're going to use the Proxmox one. And we're going to click the download the wizard. Okay, we're going to download the 64-bit version. And we're going to open that file. Click next, agree, next. Here it's going to ask which ones we want to install. We're going to leave all of those checked off and click next and install. Yes, we want it to make changes. And I'm just going to exit out of Edge. So what this is doing is it's actually installing all the missing drivers for our virtual machine so that our Unraid machine can properly pass through all the devices, the CPU, RAM, hard drive, network, anything that it needs, it's going to get properly installed. I'm going to go ahead and click finish. And then for good measure, we're going to go ahead and do another restart. So if any drivers were updated, we want to restart to make sure that it is implementing the updated drivers properly. Typically, things would ask you to restart. I've never installed a driver where I haven't needed to restart, so that's why I'm doing the restart here, just to make sure everything is properly installed and implemented without any issues. And as we can see, it looked like it did have an somewhat of a update there. Oh, wrong pin. Okay. Now, if I go down here and go to taskbar settings, I should be able to. Okay, so now we can see where this used to say activate Windows for the full experience, and now we have the full experience. Now, I don't know how to change this taskbar. I'm not a diehard Windows user, and that's okay if you're not. I use Mac predominantly, unless I'm at work or I need to do something on a Windows PC. But I do have a Windows 10 machine. My travel server is Windows 10. I have a work laptop that's Windows 11, and then a personal laptop that's Windows 10. I've got Windows Server 2016 running on 2 machines. I also use multiple Linux systems. So for all the haters of Mac out there, don't worry, it's not the only one that I use. But yeah, getting this installed is pretty straightforward. It did take a little bit. It took about an hour to get fully installed, but I mean, honestly, it kind of reminds me of the good old days installing Windows 98, or actually Windows XP was a pretty quick installation when that was released, but Windows Vista, that was hella slow. So anyways, with all that said and done, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If there's anything else you would like to see tutorial-wise, please let me know down in the comments. But with all that said and done, you guys take it easy, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks, everyone, and take care.